I'm Adrienne Giffen. Welcome to Now You're Talking, the podcast. I believe real conversation connects us in a distracted world. One of the greatest gifts you can give your family and yourself is your presence. Because leadership doesn't begin at work, it begins at home. This is your space to pause, to listen, to reflect. Your journey toward deeper connections starts right here. This episode is an honest conversation with Ágnes Marschalek and Jamie Murphy about building a business together, navigating life's difficult seasons, and staying connected to yourself while raising a family and creating something meaningful. Together, we explore how AI, meditation, and mindfulness can support mental wellness in today's fast-moving digital world. If you've ever felt stretched between ambition, family, and personal growth, this conversation will resonate with you. Let the conversations begin. Welcome, Ágnes and Jamie from all the way across the world in Hungary. So glad you're here to talk about what it's like to be parents in this digital era, what it's like to be entrepreneurs and just real forward thought leaders. Welcome.
Well, thank you for having us. It's exciting to be.
Oh, well, it's, and Ágnes, I'll start with you and then just sort of jump in. You have been an entrepreneur since you were 19. And you've created all sorts of different types of businesses, and one has sort of led to the other. And now together, you've created a meditation app. Can you both share a little bit about that, please?
So, yeah, I started very early because I always wanted to be a businesswoman. And we had between us some products before, some software products, but this is our first app and a new territory for us to work on. But we had like software trends before, we had communities, we had a massive international hiking communities in Hungary, but we also had a women entrepreneur group in Hungary. So like we are kind of like into both, try to combine it to this app as well. But like it also came from my personal transformation journey. So like when I became a mother, I actually stopped working. I chose to be a stay-at-home mom for 4 years, and this is my time to come back to work, but it was really hard to put work down. So like it went from working on my business 12 hours a day and then it became, 24 hours a day work, but a very different one. And then I experienced this whole like kind of like personal death, my personality death in a way. I don't know if you can or anyone can do that.
Yeah.
I think it was a good choice in the end because like my son also decided not to sleep for 1.5 years straight. So I didn't have any brain to function with anyway.
My goodness.
Yes. But when my daughter was born 2 years later, that was the time when actually I arrived to motherhood.
Okay.
I decided to study something that had nothing to do with what I did before. And I was always interested in yoga. So I did a traditional yoga teacher training. It was a yearly training. My husband was such a hero because I started it when my daughter was only 4 months old. And he said, like, don't worry, I got it. And he got them to sleep, both of them on the first night when I was out studying.
Wow. That's impressive.
Yes. It was like, I got it. If Luna is not asleep, I'm just going to put her in a sling. So I was like, okay, it's probably fine. I'm going to do it. And that completely changed my life. So that really got me into regular yoga and meditation. And that really helped me to regulate my nervous system. So when we decided like what to work on, what project we should take, meditation app was something that was definitely on our list. I had a very strong spiritual experience during one of my practices where I basically got a message that we have to do like a meditation app. So
isn't that interesting? So can I go back a little bit? Because you just unpacked a ton there. So go back to, so you had your first child and you weren't sleeping. And so then did you have a personal crisis that happened? Is that what I got? Okay, so I didn't really understand what you meant. Can you tell us more about that? Because it seems to me that that has all led you to where you are right now.
Absolutely. It's it's really hard to change your life situation when you identify yourself with one thing. And I really identified myself as an entrepreneur. And to put that down, that felt like dying in a way.
Oh, that's what you said, a personal death. So
yeah,
some
of my personal was like, that's it. And you know, like when you have personal growth and transformation, there is a part before that's really hard. You know, like some people call it the dark night of the soul. Like there's this, your old self has to die in a way to be able to rebuild on a stronger foundation. So, but I also had this idea that like, you know, my personal worth was completely tied to my output and work. So I was struggling with that like, I don't have an output apart from obviously one of the most important jobs in the world is being a mom. But, it doesn't have such a short feedback loop, such as work does, you know? Like, you only find out if you did a good job 20 years later, whether they can, you know, whether they have commitment issues or not. It's not now. I was also like, my son was not sleeping at all. He was the type of child who would wake up many times during the night. He wouldn't go back to sleep for hours at night. So he also didn't have, my brain didn't function. And then, it got better when obviously he started to sleep.
Yes.
But I felt like, I don't know when I should work. And then we obviously had our next child. And then I decided, okay, if you already starting to have children, you might as well have them in one go.
Yes, yeah.
But when she was born, something changed. My birth experience was a lot different. I don't know if other people can relate to that as well. Like, but my first child was born with an emergency C-section, and the next one was a natural birth. Everyone experienced obviously giving birth very differently, but me, that was really healing. So that really helped me to like arrive to motherhood, but also therapy helped. So I had other tools as well that helped me to accept that like, this is my life situation right now. I chose it. I'm not in prison. I chose this. You know, taking responsibility for my own choices. And then that really freed me. I was like, I started looking at things very differently. I have a really loving husband who earns enough that actually I can stay at home with our children right now.
Yes. Yeah.
Such a privilege alone.
And that, what a journey. And Jamie, what was that like for you? Because that can often be scary when you're on the outside looking in, watching someone you love go through this.
It was hard. You see that someone you care about is struggling, and it wasn't, you know, for a period of time either. It was like a year and a half, 2 years. Then you don't, and there's nothing you can do, you know, to help. Because there was, even from the first child, like from Noah, I was already, you know, taking him as much as I could. I think that was one of the things that I did from the beginning. Is that as early as I could and as often as I could, I wanted to take the kids by myself. And I think that my mindset is like, it's a semi-selfish mindset, but I want time for myself and I want to feel guilt-free when I do that. So I think the only way that that's fair is if I return that. But obviously, I also want to have my own relationship with the children. I think now in hindsight, I see that like there's a lot of fathers anyway who like, when they try to take over the kids, it's just really hard because they say, no, mom, I need my mom. And then it's like chaos.
Yes.
So for me, it was like, I have to do this as early as possible so that it's not a shock to their system when it is me. So that's one of the things that I'm like the proudest of. I wish I could have done that more, but obviously with being the main earner, I was more restricted in my time. Yeah. But it was very hard to see Ágnes going through that. And there were times we just didn't know what to do. Because it's also, you know, when someone is not doing well, I think it's a very intense situation to have a child, right? It's very demanding.
Yes.
I think if you're not in the best mental state, obviously it's even harder. And then you're not your best self. And that doesn't mean that you're a horrible self either, but you know, you're not as patient as you could be. And you like, so then I was also seeing this, like, sometimes like what with like, at least for me, it's like, it's not fair for our son that this has happened. Like, he's not really being naughty. It's just like the burnout that's affecting it.
Yeah.
So we ended up having like some, I guess like I was very supportive. I tried to be very supportive. I hope that's how it felt. And very patient, but also like as it was going on over time, I also started to like, say, well, we should try to deal with this, and how do we deal with it? And I was suggesting, not the first time, we've both been to therapy before, but I was very questions like maybe like you/we should go to therapy to try to deal with these things. Couples therapy, we did. Ágnes did individual therapy.
Couples therapy also was such a game changer for us. Just the way.
Was it? How so?
Yeah. Because most people go there when they're about to divorce.
Right.
We weren't that close to it, but we had a conflict that we couldn't quite resolve. And it just taught us tactics. Basically, the person just coached us through how to like understand the other person. And then we maybe still use some of the techniques that we learned there. Just like a better way to communicate between each other.
Yes. Great. And so this journey, and not an easy one, but a difficult time. Having children is difficult enough, but to have this on top and to be managing your own relationship as well, and the dynamics of that is difficult. So, but this journey has led you to creating the Still Mind app for meditation, and to share a little bit more, Ágnes, about what it was like to receive that sort of that spiritual moment, or that voice that told you this is what you need to do.
That was so interesting, because in my whole life, I asked myself, what am I supposed to do here? Why am I here? Like constantly just like on loop in my head, why am I here? Why am I here? Why am I here? And I never got such a clear answer before. I had some answers before, but never something that's like so like defined, just like so clear, so loud, and it was very interesting because it felt like a movie was played in my head with exact steps that I should be taking to create that product. And it just felt so real. I spoke to someone who is a spiritual leader. She's a Swami.
Yes.
And she said, I was like, how do you know if it was real? Because then you have such an experience, and then obviously like you start to question yourself after a while. It's your ego talking. And then she said, you just know it to be true. And then I tried to go back to that feeling that I knew it to be true.
Yes.
So when we started working on it, it was just so wonderful. Just felt really right. And it really helped our relationship as well. I feel like we have other topics to talk about now apart from our kids.
So how is that? How has it evolved? And you, Jamie, being, which I love that title, a money strategist. How do you say that word?
Monetization.
That's it.
So, I mean, I guess actually goes a little bit through my journey. Is I used to be a developer, and I ended up in Budapest through pure luck. I was like living life. I think that I there's a book that I read. It was like Mind Hacking, 21 Ways to Mind Hack Your Own Mind. And I was listening to this book. It was like one of the first self-development books that I ever read. I think I was 26. There was an analogy in this book that said, are you the director, like the writer of your series, the director of your life, or are you just sitting watching it episode by episode? And this hit me like a truck, because I realized I was very much the person just reacting to everything. And I was reacting well, and I think I'd made, a good life for myself at that point. But I suddenly felt like, I should be much more in control. And that became like the start of a very long journey for me, which I think is still ongoing, but a self-development journey. And I remember years ago, it was just, I think at the start of COVID, around 2020, I read a book called Find Your Why by Simon Sinek.
Yes.
And this for me was a very transformational book that the impact of this is still ongoing. Before that, my career had been very B2B. Like I was a developer. I worked as a conversion rate optimization specialist, basically improving the people clicking the buy button on your website. I was very much making money for businesses. And this book was the beginning of me realizing that I didn't want to do that anymore. So my first step out of this was I'm going to make a business for myself. And it was an SEO A/B testing startup, which is also a mistake in itself, because that's still B2B. But I spent 2 years building this startup. I had some level of success, but it got to the point where, it wasn't going as it was making revenue, but nothing groundbreaking. And I was pretty broken in debt after 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Then Ágnes got pregnant. So then I was like, okay, straight away, I need to just get a job, bring stability.
And I was so proud of him. It felt like, oh my God, I have such a man. You really stepped up.
So straight away, they said, but actually at that moment, I spoke to Ágnes, was like, I'm going to get a job, but do you mind if I take this first couple of months a little bit slowly? Because I want to consciously make a shift. I want to move away from like B2B. I want to move from agencies and things. I want to move into a product. I want to move to a product that makes people's lives better. Mm-hmm. Then I ended up getting a job for a language learning app as a product manager. And that began like the start of my B2C journey. And then now for those first couple of years, it was all about working as hard as I could, paying off all of the debt that we had. Then we saved up and bought a home. We had 2 kids, the whole time kind of clinging on to my mental health while doing it.
Right. Clinging. Yes.
Yeah.
That's a lot of life change.
Yeah. And it was quite the journey, but very, very good one, exciting one, but also like that's probably the hardest one I've ever been on. And in the last, I'd say year, obviously our youngest is like hit 1 and then life started to get a bit easier. And at the same time, some other things started changing in the world. And I got, this idea came to Ágnes and I felt the time was like, I really miss being entrepreneur. We have the time and energy right now. Yeah. And it just clicked. Yeah. And obviously in the last few years, I obviously have this experience of like monetization and how to sell things. But then several years of like building an app for users. And it was a really fun project to put all of this learning together into like our own product. And it's been a very exciting and motivating experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just, I really love this product because it has some traditional roots. So
yes,
for example, supports journaling, which a lot of spiritual leaders, says that you should journal after you have a spiritual practice, such as meditation or yoga. You can actually choose from many practices you can track. And then actually it only started as a tracker and as a journal. And then now it's evolved to be like something bigger. It's also AI powered. So like AI is helping you be but you can choose if it's a traditional practice or a guided one. But for example, like when you're sitting and meditating and you have this life-changing ideas, that doesn't quite leave your head. And then when it does leave your head, you finish your meditation when you were not supposed to have the thoughts, So like it's enough for it to just say it out loud and it like notes it down for you in your journal.
Is that how it works? That's interesting. That would be a good way to keep track of dreams too, because you wake up in the morning and you go, okay, it was so clear a few hours ago.
No, but I also have like community features because I also find that like practicing with other people or just like seeing that other people are practicing is also very helpful to stay on your meditational journey.
Yes. Okay.
But it has the other side. So if you don't want to do this complete traditional meditation, it does have AI guided meditation. But the way Jamie, he can explain better how he set it up. Traditional routes and stuff.
Yeah. So I think the key here is like Ágnes wanted the self-guided app because that's very traditional yoga teaching. And that's how it started. And myself, I like to have the skills, like I've learned how to meditate over the years, but I also like to have some guidance. So then how to achieve this, I obviously have done research where the AI has like a lot of the traditional the knowledge in there, and also meditation and guided meditation, like theory and best practices. And then it uses that the user can like input any prompt or scenario and then say, I'm stressed about a meeting tomorrow. I want a guided meditation to, calm my nerves. And then it will take that information as well as like some other information about their profile, and it'll create a guided meditation for them. And then like 30 seconds later, they're, getting, hey, that meeting, calm down, take a deep breath. Everything will be fine.
Oh, yeah. But it's completely customized. So it's not a library. Basically, whatever you need, it's there anytime you need it.
But this is
so it's individual. It's individualized. That's amazing.
Yeah, and this was the magic of like trying to find the bridge between the traditional practice that I just wanted, but then with this like my journey of self-development, having the journal, I think is a great crossover for both. But also I find myself wanting to like have guidance on like very specific issues or challenges that I'm facing. And this is where like the traditional meditation apps, although they're like really great, I always felt sometimes that I would love something specific. And it's been such a game changer for me to be able to like type in exactly what I need and then get something like, specific back.
Wow, that's really fascinating. And we can put information in the show notes so people can access it. What's it been like for you guys to work together as a couple while co-parenting, while having a full-time job, Jamie, while continuing to feed your desire to be an entrepreneur? Ágnes, what's it all been like?
It's been really enjoyable. Actually, to be truthful, like we've worked together a couple of times in the past and it never went that well.
No, it went so badly that we were like, okay, we really work as a couple. We don't work as business partners. And this is the first time it's actually working.
But I think there are a bunch of things that like come together for that. Of like, if anything, I think having children has like been such a growth experience for both of us that I think the ego is much less of an issue on both of our sides. And also I think just having this like common goal, I think this was a switch, at least from my perspective, of like how in the past when we did things, it was the same B2B, like let's, make money for businesses or help businesses. Whereas this is the first time doing something that is like providing value to the world. And at least for me, that's become my mission of like, I make products that help people be the person they aspire to be. Mm-hmm. And I think this is one of the first things that I've built that truly achieves that objective. And that is very fulfilling. And the fact that we're both working towards this goal that is like core to our belief system, I think that's what is making the difference.
I was going to say, I bet that there's a values alignment for you guys. And there's a much greater purpose to this.
That's so much fun, just sit down and work side by side. I feel like in a motivational movie when we're looking at work and it's been really, really cool. I've been like really enjoying myself doing it.
I really like, it's an interesting journey that you've been on, because you've taken your entrepreneurial and then you went to yoga, which was connected to the meditation. And then you had to go through this struggle. Like you had to go through that struggle to get, it seems to me, that to get to this point. And then you, Jamie, is so interesting too, because you've been able to morph from being employed to now being self-employed, but being able to do both.
Well, at the minute, I'm still employed. So this is the struggle.
But both. Yeah.
So that's what I'm hoping is work. So for now, it's been close to a year of just working in the day and being with the kids as much as I can.
Yeah.
They sleep, just working late into the night and just repeat, day after day. And it's really, really fun, but it's also very...
It's tiring, yeah. So for sure, try to rely on our mood, because it's, sometimes it's hard to get yourself going after you got the kids to sleep, because to get them, you have to go down to like alpha and, to get them sleepy. And then sometimes falling asleep. And then you throw out the shirt and I feel like, okay, it's time to fight.
For sure. But it would be your passion probably that keeps you moving, I would think.
It's a passion. For me, it's also like having been self-employed before.
Yes.
And you work more. It's not like you work less, but you have the freedom to work when you wish and like also not to work when you wish. Like, I think that's the thing that's the most frustrating of like, while I have this traditional 9 to 5, there are so many things that I miss out on with kids that I would just love to have these things take off and then just, have the time and the flexibility to be like, it's my turn to take the kids to football or pick them up from nursery.
Yeah, we want to more work for shared parenting experience as well.
Yes. Yeah. Well, it is one step at a time too, isn't it? Mm-hmm. It's because you're doing it. You're on the road to having that happen, it seems to me. So for people that have thought that they could maybe work as a couple, but what are some things that you can share about that experience?
Maybe that they shouldn't take everything so personally when the other person gives feedback, because I think that for me personally, it was really hard to take that feedback from Jamie, because I took it like so to my heart, whereas like if he wasn't judging me and his tone wasn't even bad, just for some reason it was harder for me, whereas like if we focus on the goal that the work, that the output should be great, and that's the goal, and he's just serving that goal, for me, that was like a really big mindset switch. And I think like deciding who is responsible for what. So like everyone has like a responsibility circle.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably like very helpful.
Yeah, the main takeaway for me is like really having like what you're building aligned to, like, you know, your core values and your goals. Because the things we did in the past, we thought they were good ideas and we believed in the value that they brought, but the value wasn't aligned to our course. You know, the products we were building weren't things that we were either passionate about or excited about. There were some things, there was some connection and something that got us excited, but it wasn't about like, you know, this, I just want to bring this value into the world. It was like, I believe this is valuable and that businesses would find it valuable too. And I think that's also from my own journey too, of like building this SEO A/B testing tool. Like when times get really hard, it felt like work. And obviously then you can push through. But when what you're doing is just something that you really believe in and you believe is bringing positivity to the world, when times get hard, it's just such a motivational like a rock or, you know, foothold to hang on to them that wasn't there before. And I think that's for me is one of the differences of just really being truthful with each other. Of like, is this something that we both care about and are, you know, going to put the sacrifice in, because it's you know, it does take sacrifice and everything, right?
But I also wanted to work on something that I'm obsessed with, and I got really obsessed with meditation and spirituality. So like they're saying that you should be doing something that you would do in your free time, and I was constantly reading about like this stuff, like traditional meditation and, you know, books by spiritual leaders, podcasts, audiobooks, you know it.
All about meditation.
And self-improvement, but meditation practices and spiritual teaching.
So you know you're on the right track when that happens. Yeah, that's fantastic. So knowing what you know now, from a parental perspective, entrepreneur perspective, what would you do the same? From a couple's perspective, you know, whatever angle speaks to you, what would you both do the same, and what would you do differently?
So the same is choosing this value that we both believe like makes a positive impact in the world. I think that's been a clinging factor, and it really motivates like my 18-year-old brother. I was in a low point and he messaged me saying like, hey, I tried out your app because I was stressed at college, and then I tried the stress relief meditation and it like really helped me. That was just like that moment of like, I don't care if this never makes another $1. Like I see that this exists and is in the world now.
Yeah.
So I think that is one that I would do. And in terms of what I would do differently is we had at first, like learning, we had like a sequential approach to this. So like first the product exists and then we do marketing. But I think everything should have started at the same time. Now we're, I guess, like playing catch up on the marketing side and all of the learnings there. Yes. So that would be my main thing, if like just trying to do everything from the start. Yes.
I think we should have probably done more market validation or waitlist building before we launched the app. So I think that, and talking to users more, we are doing that now. Like actually talk to our users so we can shape the product to their needs. But I think I would definitely do that differently. That from day one, maybe with a test group, I would just be in touch and shape the product to their needs from day one, instead of try to do it from version 3 or 4.
Right. Yes. And so that's what you would do differently.
Yes.
What would you both do the same?
I think some of the things that we mentioned, that we discussed, who does what, sharing responsibilities, both agreeing that we are both fully in, because I think it could be quite frustrating if the other person just slacks off, and then that creates more conflict. So like having a full body yes from both of us, I would definitely do that the same. Maybe something else I would do differently is I took 4 years. I don't want to say that I took 4 years off as a mother, because it didn't. Like I took 4 years off.
You're not taking time off when you're a mother, no.
Well, I learned different skills as a mother.
Yes.
I upscale differently, but I do feel like I need to catch up with my knowledge now. for a while I thought that like, okay, I'm a mother now, and I did this yoga course. Maybe what I would different, because I always know that I wanted to have my own app and work in that. So maybe like learning some skills in that. So like, so I wouldn't have to do everything right now, because everything changed in the last 4 years. Like AI changed the game completely. So like I would need to learn everything anyway. But like if I would have more in touch with those things, that maybe like things would be faster, because now I have like such a massive list of courses I need to do that I just don't have capacity to do everything. So I'm, trying to prioritize what's the most important right now to learn, but I wouldn't need to play catch up so much if I would have more, studied a bit more during those 4 years. And would have been like probably really hard, but if, that's my goal to do, and it is, then maybe, yeah. But from another point of view, one of the other things I would do differently, like when I'm in my off season, I think I would be more gracious with myself. That's my off season.
Easy on you, yes.
Yeah, because like everything is seasonal in life. Like you have the off-season times, and you have the growth stage in your life, and then just recognizing the seasonality and be okay with that, and not constantly beating up yourself with either of the season. That would have been nice. So I think from this point on, I try to recognize the seasonality and just see what it is.
Yeah.
You get to accept.
Sorry, Jim. Tagging on to this one, actually, I think one thing I would keep the same is we didn't like seriously try to do anything in the, like, when we were in the thick of it, the kids were really young.
Yeah.
There was little projects and playthings we did, but we never really, made sacrifices in a meaningful way or prioritized them, because like it wasn't the right time. Yeah. So I would definitely do that again. But I think with this in mind, and I would also keep right now, after doing this for so long, I've kind of learned that, it doesn't change that much in the grand scheme of things if I take a couple of hours off to go be with the kids. But we first started doing this, the first 4 or 5 months, I just went on a very intense building. And it was like, we had an agreement, of course, it was like, I'm going to build. And she obviously, Aggie, agreed that she would take more of the kids at that time. So for several months, it was just, I sacrificed the evenings with the kid to make this product exist. I sacrificed mornings. I was up like barely sleeping. And I mean, I'm glad in the end that it happened. But, towards the end of this, I know like the kids started rejecting me more. Like we used to have almost 50-50 bedtime routines. And then it was like, no, I won't have that anymore. It has to be Mom, has to be Anya.
Yeah.
And then they're hurt, obviously. But then also it's this strange feeling, because like you get stuck in the momentum, right? And then it felt like I was conflicted the whole time, because it felt good to be building and exciting. And then like, this product has to exist. We have to put it out there as quick as we can. But then I felt guilt about it. But then I also felt like, because I was working so much when I was actually with the kids, I wasn't fully present sometimes, because my head was still working through the problems. So I think if I would go back, I would, from the beginning of like, it doesn't matter if this launches a month or two later. What matters is being consistent and keeping the momentum. But I wouldn't go back and sacrifice that family time again, because, the time will never come back with those kids.
Yes, we just had this conversation that our son is 4, and then in Hungary, the legal age is 18, and I moved out when I was 18. So like, yes, many people do it. It's like we have 14 years left with our son, and it's just so shocking to think about.
It is, yeah, it is hard to know that when you're in it, and you can sort of theorize that in your mind, but knowing that, what I know, my oldest biological is 37, and that time goes by in a blink. It really does, but it's hard to know that when you're being pulled in so many directions. But well, thank you for that. And I guess like when you were just saying, I got so many things that you were saying, and I kept wanting to sort of jump in, but you were providing such valuable information. I guess it's the power of and, because by doing both, that's bringing you joy, both from all angles of your life. You're getting real joy, and the value you're providing to the world when this gets out there, that's going to be so wonderful too. And your kids will see that, and they'll see that in you and feel your joy, because they watch us like our they watch every move we make.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, they're definitely our mirrors.
Yeah. And then they mirror what they've learned. May I ask you a couple of questions off now you're talking? That was just, thank you very much for sharing. So what is a dream that you must, and you guys being those innate entrepreneurs, what is a dream that you must accomplish or you will be filled with regret?
I think to have that work-life balance where we have a freer life so we can spend more present time with our kids or keep spending more present time with our kids but still have this fulfillment from work. So that's the dream for us. Like we really want to be present with our children while still like achieving personal goals.
Yeah. I mean, I think my answer is a bit different. I mean, before I was entrepreneurial, my core, ever since I was young, I always knew I wanted a family. And actually, when we first got together, we had conflict because Ágnes was very entrepreneurial, and her definition of like, my life won't be successful unless I'm successful in business. So that hurt me at the time because I was like, but what if you have a great family life? Well, it's still a good life, right? And she was like, no, it's not. I think she might say something differently now, but this was obviously when
All right, I was 20. Okay, to my defense.
So I would go back to that. Something like, it's very enjoyable doing all of these things, but my main priority is like, I want to be there with my kids and prioritize those. And in recent times, I sacrificed that to achieve these business goals. And I think that's not something I ever want to do in the long term. I would rather have a normal job and be present with my kids than I would chase the entrepreneurial dreams. So while I can do both, that's fine. But I think if it ever actually became like a meaningful compromise for me, I would choose the kids and the family. Because that for me, you said the key of like, then I would not have regrets. I would never regret not having a business when I'm 80, but I would regret not being there with my kids or having close relationships. So there would be a line I would draw if it ever got to that point on my side.
Yes. Yeah, I just got chills there, Jamie. How do your friends describe you?
Very different than
I'm dying to hear.
Yeah.
But we very much trying to live our own journeys and life. They describe us people who are very active. So our kids are extremely active too. And then my friend, one of my best friends, she was like, "Are you surprised that they're active and they're nonstop?"
Right.
I think like that we are constantly doing things and trying to improve.
Yeah, but I also think one of the things that I'm really proud of from hearing from our friends is that we were actually the first in our whole group to have kids. So we had one really far from like family to learn from.
Yeah.
But the thing that despite all that, everyone tells us is like that they see us as like a aspirational example of parents. And that's, I don't know, like something that feels really good because if that's what I think we're doing a good job.
Yeah, we're trying our best for sure.
We're choosing the hard way too. Like we have, we're doing this business and everything, but we also have like complete zero screen time rules. So there's never a moment where they're like, go do that for an hour so we can focus. Like, no, it's always being present with the kids when they're here, and that's chaos and fun, but also nonstop. So I think we're not choosing the easy path with the kids either. So I'm proud of.
Yeah, so that's why you're working late at night. You're not putting your 2 and your 4-year-old on a screen.
No.
Yeah, you're being fully present with them.
Yes. Now they started listening to audiobooks.
Okay.
Podcasts. So that's our one way to share a coffee between us without them interrupting.
Those moments,
But it's also because we're bilingual, and at this point, their Hungarian is a bit stronger than English. So like we had this conversation where we were like, okay, should they start to watch something just to like pick up more in English? And I was like, no. And then we come up with this idea that like, okay, then they listen to podcasts, and there are some amazing storytelling podcasts out there for children.
Maybe if you know some, again, we'll share that in the show notes too. Because that's valuable information for other parents. One more question. What would you change if you could go back to high school?
I would change high schools, probably.
Change the actual building. Okay.
Yes, because, like I believe in, gut feelings, and that we used to feel things, what's right for us and what's not right for us, because then our whole survival depended on it. But then we had other ways to survive as humanity, and then we kind of like put that in to the back of our minds. But constantly, like, I had this voice in high school that I shouldn't be here. I didn't have a good class. The teachers were good. Like, I had the best French teacher, which is the reason I speak French. But I didn't like being there. So I didn't quite reach the potential there I could have reached. So I would probably go back and just change schools, probably that.
How has that experience, Ágnes, contributed, though, to who you are today?
I realized early on that I don't want to belong to a group of people just because I'm physically put there. So I had to find my groups of people or my community elsewhere. So like the first time I felt really like, okay, I'm in the right place, the right time is when I joined the co-working space where Jamie was working at. And I felt like, oh my God, these are my people. They're like active, they are doing things, making things work and building their businesses, or they are like really good at the things they do, and they share their, expertise and community lunches. I'm like, oh, that's so amazing. I'm like here. So yeah, probably that affected me.
Yeah.
But I was actually homeschooled for many years when I was in primary school. So that was the first experience where I was a bit outside of the norm or class. And so I think maybe going back there, that probably like already defined that I won't be able to fit in a certain normal group, and I will have to make my own paths and communities.
Which is what you did with the hiking.
Really? Yeah, that basically
created that community.
Yeah, because my friends didn't turn up on Saturday morning because obviously they were drunk on Friday. Yeah, I was still 19, 20 years old. So I was like, okay, goddammit, I have to find some strangers and do like this.
Right. Yeah. Well, there's always a connection. What about you, Jamie? What would you change if you could go back to high school?
I think mine would be related to this, just passive living. I would try to take some control of my life in some way. Like, I think at that age, just, it could be a small thing, but everything I think was passive for me. So that would be one. And I don't know, it's a very deep question. How did you want to go? But I would stop caring so much about what other people think, and I would just be myself more.
Yeah.
I think that's the main. I had a pretty good high school experience. I was lucky in that sense. I liked my friends, my teachers, my school. Yeah. But I think I didn't like myself so much back then, so I would change that.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing. I really appreciate how authentic you have both been. If you could share words of wisdom for other parents, other entrepreneurs, what would they be?
Don't do it unless you have to do it.
What do you mean?
It's such a sacrifice, and it's so hard in so many ways that unless it's something that you just have to put out there into the world, like you're compelled to do it and you will be not satisfied that it's not out there, then the trade-offs probably aren't worth it if you're, a family, like a parent, and you have kids and you're juggling a job. So I think it is one of the most rewarding things when it's something that you really care about and need to do. But if it's not that, it's going to be a source of pain. So an example for me is in the 2 years that I was talking about before, when we didn't really have much, there was some projects that I said I'm going to make some progress on. It was never about like shipping or doing it seriously. But for 2 years, because I wasn't actually committed to it, and I wasn't starting the real projects that I wanted to do, because then that would be too serious. I was starting small projects. But for then 2 years, that just became a source of guilt and shame because I wasn't making the progress that I wanted to make, because it wasn't a priority. But then I set myself this target of achieving it, and then I wasn't, so it was a failure. Whereas, and I think this is like a challenge that like life's already really hard if you're like, juggling work and kids and yourselves and your own relationship.
It's just a pleasure.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Juggling part is the hard part. But what I mean is you already have all of these things, and unless like, there's that drive for what you're doing, it, at least in my experience, is going to become something that actually makes you feel worse and then negatively impacts your motivation for everything else that is important.
Right. So there's a ripple effect.
There's is this something I want to do? And And if the answer is yes, like a full body yes, then do it because it's so rewarding and it's so motivating. But if it's not that, I think in my experience anyway, it ends up actually being a net negative in your life and not a positive.
Okay. Thank you. Words to live by. What about Ágnes?
Maybe something about prioritization, like you have to know what to prioritize. And especially as a parent, you have to be like really crucial what's on the top of your priority list. And then you have to be okay with that some of the things won't make it there. Some of the things that you might have thought they are really important, but there's just not enough time and willpower to do everything. And then just prioritize, because otherwise like nothing will get done. You would do, let's say there are like 5 categories, you will do a bit of everything out of the 5, but then you won't make any real progress. So you have to pick your number 1 and then maybe number 2 and number 3, but nothing else will. And I meant like by categories, like you're working out, you are eating healthy, and then you are doing your project, but then, you know, everything else probably has to go or be very limited.
Yes. Yeah. And that's very, very, very helpful. And because the idea that we can do it all just doesn't of us.
No. Jamie had really good thought the other day. I quite liked how they described, because I told him that, like, I think we talked about like that we don't really go for runs anymore or something like that. And he said like, and I said like, but we have enough time. We have the hours to go for a run. And he explained like that, yeah, but not enough willpower. You have only like X amount of willpower for the day. And then you have to choose how you spend that willpower. So it's not so true. And then, you know, just about the time.
But I think for me, it's like you have so much mental energy, right? And if you're prioritizing the things that matter, then you'll like maximize your output on that.
Yeah.
And because I also have a thing that I want to get better at speaking Hungarian. I'd love to work more, like run more. I'd love to go to the gym more. But through experience, like if I put energy into those, then I put less energy into these main priorities because there's less energy for me to give there. And then it's the same thing, like where it becomes a source of negativity to me overall, because I've clearly identified what my priorities are. And if I don't make progress on them, it makes me feel bad. So I'm like a good example. Last year, when I wasn't working on this project, I've prioritized health in the gym and I made great progress there. I lost loads of weight and I was proud of how I looked. This year, I've prioritized the project and I've put on weight, and that has become not as big a priority.
You still look amazing.
Thank you. But, you know, that's become a source of, I feel bad about that, but I'm not beating myself up about it because I'm feeling this guilt spiral because I've made a priority and I'm like a decision and I'm sticking to it. So whereas if it was the other way around, that I'd prioritize this project and then I was failing on it because I was trying to do too many other things, I would have this guilt that would weigh me down.
Right.
Yeah. Not making those priorities like basically like setting you up for failure.
Yes. Yeah. So having clear goals. And again, that values alignment. So thank you very much for sharing your words of wisdom and for your time. And I look forward to hearing how this sleep app takes off. It's fascinating to me how you've integrated AI. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you for inviting us. It's been great. And I hope that people found it interesting and we can maybe give some insight.
Yeah, and we can't wait to try your game within our family. We have a monthly family meeting, so I'm definitely going to order it and surprise my family.
Fantastic. Well, thank you. Thank you. One of the biggest takeaways from this episode is the reminder that personal growth, parenting, relationships, and entrepreneurship are all deeply connected. When we slow down, reflect, and live more intentionally, we create more space for clarity, connection, and meaningful conversations. I'm Adrienne Giffen, and you've been listening to Now You're Talking. If something in this conversation spoke to you, follow along on YouTube, LinkedIn, or Instagram, and subscribe or leave a review to help others find the show. Meaningful conversation can change how we see ourselves and each other. That's why I created Now You're Talking board game, a simple way to spark real conversation. If you'd like a way to start conversations like this with people in your life, and be part of the movement to get people talking again. You can join the wait list for the game in the show notes. Let the conversations begin. Now you're talking.
I'm Michelle Abraham, and we are honored to have Adrienne Giffen's Now You're Talking podcast on our High Vibe Podcast Network. For more high vibe shows like hers, head on over to highvibepodcastnetwork.com and grab your free gift from our gift vault from all of our hosts. Until then, stay high vibe.